name is Molly Phelan. Yes, I absolutely do support TIF reform. Many of you know me because of my actions against the current alderman for a lawsuit based on tax increment financing violations. I've spoken with Mike Quigley in terms of the reform that does need to happen in City Council, and I will lead that effort. Primarily, some of the things that need to happen, obviously, transparency and accountability. I'll have all information regarding all expenditures, proposals on my website as alderman. Also, I'm going to help the new city clerk with a process to make sure that these tax increment financing dollars show up on your property tax bill. I represent some condo associations over here in terms of their property tax appeals. One person on one side, another person on the other side of the street, different tax rates. That's because one person is in the tax increment financing district, another person isn't. You should see that difference. You shouldn't have to come to me and ask me, why are my taxes higher than my neighbor? Also, I think there needs to be reform in terms of the portability. Right now, if there are adjacent TIF districts, and you see the way some of these things have been cut, they can go all the way from here to Belmont Cragen. There needs to be a distance requirement, and it should not be going by the TIF districts. Most importantly, we need to have higher standards if we're going to create TIF districts. Again, I come from a real estate background. I've worked with TIFs, but we have to make sure that if I'm spending your money, there's got to be a return on an investment. If I'm spending your $1, how much money can I get back for you in this community? And that's the type of analysis that we need to bring to the City Council. Thank you.
I'm your future Alderman. Retta is here. All right, we're talking about TIF. I'm for TIF. TIF is very important for our ward, but it has to be transparent. It has to be project-based. And I will have a committee who will work on that. Now, the other question was that, how would you reform the current TIF? Well, my reform to that is we will find out how much money we have for our ward, how is it relocated or located on here. If we have money, we'll definitely use it in our area. If any surplus from that project, I would redirect to schools. And most importantly, the issues and the problem we have, whatever we do, is a safety issue. We have a shortage of police officers. I would absolutely direct the funds that come from the TIF, whichever left over. That's how I would like to redirect the TIF money, and TIF money has to be transparent, and I am for it. Thank you.
These aldermen, I believe, and I know I will be very independent-minded moving forward, and this will go to the schools as well. I believe that the mayor should not be appointing the school board. It should be an open election or a group appointment. Also, in the ward, the alderman has possibilities and capabilities of working with schools. I've met with a couple of the principals already, and the alderman can work with the principals in the school to write grants, to get funding for after-school programs. The alderman and committee can work with the principal to set up workshops to get more families involved in the schools, and it's noted that once you get more families involved with their children's education, it is a better school. We need to work on this because we need safe and great schools in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Hi, Molly Phelan. In regards to attracting families and attracting businesses to our communities, I've always said this from the get-go. We need safe streets, we need good businesses, and we need good schools. This has been the three things that I've focused on my website since I started campaigning day one. And improving our schools is going to require a lot of things, but you got to look at it this way. We're at a crossroads right now, and with this new administration that's coming into City Council, we have a great opportunity to focus on what's most important, and that's our child's education. Part of that includes working with the teachers to expand after-school programs, extending the school day, extending the school year. As Don was saying, we do need to provide access to families who need the after-school programs. Many families can't afford the after-school programs that are out there. But there's somebody else that needs help in this entire process, and that's the parent. There have been programs in other cities where education is actually given to the parent to show them how to educate their kid at home and how to enhance their lives by making education a priority for the family. And I think one of the things that's missing in the Chicago public school system right now is helping the parents. Because parents work, they don't have time after school. Should the parent-teacher conferences be happening on Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock? Well, both parents have to work. Who's going to take their kid there? They can't take the time off. We're based on an agrarian system right now, and we have to completely reform the education system. That does include more funding, but I think what we can do now is step back and look at the way our lives function right now, and think what's best about the kid and go from that point. Thank you.
On my left and on my right, they have been talking about their endorsements. Let me tell you this, politics is local. I'm the only candidate who is endorsed by our neighboring current Alderman Marianne Smith. I'm also endorsed by wonderful public officials who serve this city. I don't brag about it. You'll get my flyer. It will tell you what I have done for the neighborhood. Let me get to the question. School issue is my issue. I have 3 children in a public school at Disney. Exactly, I know day after day when they come home with their homeworks, with their short hours. Teachers are bombarded with 30 to 35 students in one class. I know how they go through it as a parent. I need, as an alderman, I will work with the teachers, with the principals, with CPS and school councils, because it's my life. I need the future of our future generation. How do I do that? First of all, the mayor should not appoint the CPS CEO single-handed. It won't happen. We'll have a new mayor, we'll have a new council with fresh idea, with fresh energy for all. If you need an alderman for all who works about school, who talks about school, it's me. I'll be there to help day and night to improve our future generations. Thank you.
Well, I am an educator. I teach college, and I was educated here in the Chicago Public Schools. Something I remember very much from my childhood was being able to walk to school. Kids actually walk to school, to neighborhood schools. I believe there should be no such thing as a bad school. We should not allow one student to drop out of school. I'd like to see a return to the neighborhood schools, where families, where mothers and fathers can walk their children to school. I live right next door to Disney Magnet School, and I see people driving their children all over the city. I go into the schools as Director of Safety and Education for a bait. I'm in the ROTC program at Sen High School. Kids are coming from 104th Street? That cannot be. This is terrible. We need to return to neighborhood schools. Families will gravitate to neighborhoods where they have good schools like Disney, but every school should be good. Have we not had enough of appointed boards of education? They need to be elected from within. It's time for change. I've outlined a lot of this stuff on my website, and I don't want to bore you with details. We can talk about it afterwards. Thank you.
If there's Emily Stewart, endorsed by the Sun-Times. If there's anything I want to leave you with tonight is that these problems cannot be solved easily. There's no quick fix, okay? I definitely do support for education and elected school board. I don't know if any of you heard the report on NPR the other day where they talked about closing down certain schools, certain failing schools, and moving those students to other schools throughout Chicago. Well, they're different gangs in different schools, so they increase violence in the other schools significantly. So that's something that, you know, I definitely think that this should be a local decision, and that's why I believe in elected school board. When it comes to a longer school day and a longer school year, I absolutely support that. I think that could lead to less violence, a better education for our kids, and hopefully they'll be better able to compete in a global economy. But how do we do that? Because we have a strong teachers union on one side. So on the other side, we have charter schools. And when you have charter schools, you don't have a local school council, and you don't have the Chicago Teachers Union. So there are definitely benefits to both, and I think those are the kinds of things that we have to work through together to see what's best for our particular community. And again, Emily Stewart, endorsed by the Sun-Times. Thank you.
And I guess Mark's going to hop up next because he does have to leave, so please excuse the...
I'm Mark Kaplan, and I really thank my opponents, because in case on the slim chance I'm not elected alderman, I still have to have a job, so I have to make it to work. Several things. One is that we can't have quality public education unless we have full funding. That's why I'm proposing that all the tax dollars that have been taken from the public schools for the TIFs be returned to the public schools. Two, I think it's a shame that one of the fifth wealthiest state in the country is 48th on the list of what percentage of the budget really goes, state budget goes to schools. So I think working with Greg Harris and Heather Steens, as some of my colleagues have said, we need to reform that process. Two, an elected school board, elected by districts, so that the people who are elected really represent the people of those communities. Three, integrated best practices education. What does that mean? In a lot of ways, the schools are worse than the wards. Everyone's their own individual fiefdom. You have this principal, and that principal, and that principal, and everyone's playing the attendance game, so they're trying, instead of learning from each other, we have a horrible competition going on. People try to keep their best students and boot out their worst students. It creates a really, really bad situation. We need to all learn from each other. Four, an extended school day. I think that we really need to reintroduce music, art, and drama into the public schools. There are other areas of education, all of these things, athletics, these are all things that keep young people in the schools and moving in the right direction. And five, I think we already have the process that we went through to create Uplift, where we do have a quality school. I ask you to check the Board of Education statistics and check my website. And once again, I thank you. I thank everybody. I won't be making a closing argument, so look at www.markkaplanward46.com. Thank you very much.
Scott Baskin, still liked by the Sun-Times. Chicago is a tale of two cities when it comes to schools. We have some of the best public schools, not only in the state, but the country in our city. And as you all know, we have a whole bunch of the worst. I've served 6 years on the local school council at Northside College Prep, and I was chair of the finance committee. There is so much an alderman can do to help the public schools and in our ward. And building the public schools, neighborhood schools, is so important to make our ward a great place to live. This woman I saw today, we were talking about crime, we were talking about schooling for her 4-year-old, and she so desperately wants to have her son go to Stockton, which is her neighborhood school. We can make Stockton and the other local schools into great neighborhood schools. That needs to be a focus. Here's the things an alderman can do and that I will do as your alderman. An alderman can help fight for grants for schools. An alderman can recruit businesses, the local businesses, to support the schools. An alderman can partner with the principal and the local school council and the parent association of every school. And I promise you I will do that. They need a friend, they need support. I will make sure that our ward office becomes a resource for parents as they deal with the many school choices that we have, particularly the select enrollment schools and the magnet schools and learning the process.
Mr. President.
Oh, sorry, thank you.
Hi, I'm James Kappelman. I'm also